let's talk about how to handle transitions like a pro. Maybe you've lost a job, maybe you've lost a relationship, maybe you are moving, maybe you've had friendship losses, or maybe it just feels like literally every single area of your life is crumbling and breaking down, and you're going through a massive, massive shift in your life. I feel like so many of us are right now, me included. And what I want you to understand is that you can move through this transition like a pro. You can move through it in a way where it makes you stronger, where it helps you become a better version of you instead of letting these transitions completely break you down. Because if you're not careful, that can very much happen. If you're not watching your mindset, your thought processes about this transition and what you're experiencing and going through and being careful about it can really easily break you down and keep you in that really deep, dark place. And I'm just saying that because I've seen that from my own personal experience. When we go through massive transitional shifts in our lives, and I'm not saying you don't feel your feelings and emotions that you experience going through this, but I think it's so important that you be aware of that and don't let this massive transition and change bring you down and keep you in a deep, dark place, because it very much can. Because when we feel like everything around us is crumbling, when we feel like we're going through this massive shift that's literally causing us to question our identity, our place in the world, we can very easily also get lost in that low, low mood place if you're not careful. And so, going through this video, I'm going to share some tips with you as to how you move through this transition like a pro. These are things that I've been doing currently in my life that I've supported my patients and clients with as well, so that when they go through this transition, they come out of it so much better. And so that the transition doesn't break them, it makes them. It helps them elevate themselves to the next level of their life they want to get to, instead of completely tearing them down and breaking them apart. If you're new to this channel, my name is Dr. Bisley Natalie. I'm a cognitive behavioral therapy certified naturopathic doctor, and I teach people how to rewire their brain naturally. So the first thing that you need to understand is, why do transitional periods in our life feel so scary, feel so uncomfortable? The number one biggest reason here is that because your brain hates change. Your brain hates it. Your brain literally equates change with death. So anytime you do anything new, anytime you go through a shift in your life that disrupts your current comfort zone, your brain goes like, danger, danger, I hate this, I don't like this, please. Let's not do this. And so this is why also it's so easy to get caught in the low mood state, especially when you go through a change, because your brain is just like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to face this. I just want to avoid this. This just feels like too much pain for me to handle and experience and go through. And depending on the level of transition that you experience, this can range, right, in that intensity of what you experience, especially with those emotions. So currently, right now in my life, I went through a major move. I'm closing down one of my businesses. In the past few months, I have gone through major shifts in my friendships. I have gone through a breakup. And so these are like major, major, major life changes. I've gone back to school to start my master's program in arts of counseling psychology, because also, aside from being a naturopathic doctor, I also want to have my therapy license at the same time, so I can really bridge that gap and provide that holistic care and support. And so I've already labeled like 5 big changes, 5 major, major changes. And these changes have literally come about and made me at this place in my life, like almost just question my identity, question my place in the world, question my purpose, just question everything. And for a good month, I spent being in a very negative state of mind, where I just felt exhausted, burnt out. I just didn't want to do any work. And I just feel like only now I'm really starting to come out of that state. And it's because I gave myself that timeline. I was like, I can have these few weeks because these are major, major life changes. Because I will always give myself a timeline as to how long I let myself sit in the feelings. Because again, if you're not careful, you will find yourself stuck in that space for a very long time. And what I really noticed in my life is, when I overcame and really rewired my depressed, anxious brain to one that is very healthy, that is very strong mentally. One of my biggest fears was letting myself feel my feelings because I was just so scared that if I let myself feel my feelings, I would end up in that same spot again. So, what I do in my life now is I give myself time limits as to how long I'm going to let myself sit in the feels. And depending on the situation, so these were major changes that happened. So, I gave myself a couple of weeks. Sometimes I give myself an hour or two. Other times I give myself a day or two. So, it just depends on how intense and big that situation is and what feels like a good time for me to give myself permission to sit in the feelings that I need to process and move through everything. And going through these changes that I went through in my life, I could see my brain just and my mind just like fighting the change, where I had to literally just like question everything and be like, am I really making the right decision? Am I sure I want to go down this path? Even though I've been shown numerous times over and over again that I need to, end these things and move forward, your brain is still going to question because your brain just doesn't like change. Your brain just doesn't like uncertainty. And unfortunately, if you cannot be strong enough and resilient to face uncertainty, to face change, you will find yourself stuck in the same spots for years and years and years, which is, I think, more unfortunate and more painful in the long run than facing the pain of going through the transition in the first place. So, mentally, I want to get it through to you that change and transitions will always feel scary for your brain. And I just want you to mentally brace yourself and prepare yourself. Because a lot of us, when we go through these transitions and changes, we're just like, why don't I feel good? Why am I questioning everything? Why am I da 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 da, right? Like, why? And when you just question that why of everything, instead of just being okay with the emotions and feelings that are coming up, it just really weakens the relationship that you have with yourself. And that's the last thing you want to do during a transition and change, is to weaken the relationship you have with yourself. Because more importantly, what you need right now is inner trust, is inner strength, to know that you got yourself no matter what happens through this, no matter if you don't know the path forward, that you got yourself and you will figure out a way through this. It's more so just kind of getting through it to that other side. So, step number one of moving through transitions in a powerful way is you need to give space and permission to let your world crumble around you. This can be the hardest thing to do because you're not really doing anything, you're being. You're giving space and permission for the things around you to fall apart without trying to control them. And that's tough. And I'm only saying that from personal experience. It's tough, especially when you're a doer, when you're an achiever. You just, want to find the solution. You want to solve things right away and do things right away, but it's not going to happen. The transition season can last for a little while. Like, even right now, I'm still in the midst of it. A lot of things have been sorted and solved, but I know that it's really going to take me until the end of September, mid October, to fully let go and transition and move through. And that's okay. In the past, this would have killed me because I'm just like, I need everything to just end and move forward and da 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 da. I need it done all right now. And it's like, no, the crumble takes a little bit of time. So just sit in it. Be in the feelings of it. Be in the discomfort of the crumble, which is so tough because our brain that hates change, that hates uncertainty, wants to find that solution right away. It needs things to be sorted and solved right away. And we need to feel okay right away. But that need to feel okay right away is going to be the exact thing that prevents you from moving through this transition like a pro. This is where also having that deep sense of trust within the self that you got yourself can make a really big difference. So making sure your integrity, aka the promises you keep to yourself, are on point during this season of life become very, very important. Making sure that you're taking care of yourself in a really healthy and powerful way become really important during the season of life, because you need to show your brain that's okay. We can sit in this crumble, we can sit in this discomfort, and it's okay for us to feel what we're feeling. What I also want you to remember, and this is a reminder that I always give myself, is that as long as you choose to show up and continue to be better, your life will only get better. Like, really let that sink in for yourself. Your life will only continue to be better as long as you continue to show up and be better, because your life is always going to be in alignment with where you are. So sometimes it can feel really difficult to go through this transition and change, but if you choose to show up, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, if you just remember that as long as you keep getting better, your life will keep getting better. And when you start to see things in that way, it just shifts completely how you look at this transitionary period. And really, that's the tip number two that I have for you, is that you need to reframe this period of your life as much as possible. This is when we go through this massive change period in our lives, this is when that negative thinking and thought pattern just come out so strong. And it makes us feel like, oh my God, there's something wrong with us. Our life is going to keep getting worse and worse. And we keep asking ourselves, why does this happen to me? Why do I deserve this? Blah, blah, blah. Very victim mindset thoughts. And I want you to stand up to these thoughts, to stand up to that victim mindset, to take back that power and control, and to remind yourself who you are. And to remind yourself that this period in your life is only making space for better to come. That's it. And how much more exciting does life become when you start to choose to see these transitions in a better way? You lost that job, that's because you were meant for an even better job. You lost that relationship, you were meant for an even better relationship. You lost that friendship, amazing. It's going to make room for even more beautiful, more incredible people to really enter your life who match that energy and aura that you have. And so, going through this transitionary period, again, let yourself feel the feels, because if you try to reframe too soon without feeling the feelings, it's not going to work as well. And instead, it's going to literally feel like you're just dismissing yourself, and it's going to make it more difficult for you to go through the transition. I can now be in a space where I can confidently reframe this period of my life because I let myself sit in those shitty negative feelings for a few weeks. And I needed to do that, to feel sorry and sad for myself. Now I'm just like, okay, let's get back up, baby girl. Let's move through this in a powerful way. And let's remind ourselves that only better is coming because I'm choosing to show up and be better for myself. Really just remind yourself that all of this needs to happen in order for you to show up as the ultimate best version of you. And I can say that with confidence, even just looking back at the transitions that I've been through, the relationships I've let go of, the things that I've ended in my life, that I needed to go through this period because this is what's going to slingshot me forward into the life and the version of myself that I'm truly meant to live and be. And it's this constant reminder in my mind that when I start to feel bad about some of these things, I'm just like, nope, reframe, reframe, reframe. And the more that I reframe this period, the better this period of my life starts to feel for myself. The next thing that becomes really important if you want to move through your transitions like a pro is that you need to be forward thinking. What starts to happen in our lives when we experience transitions is that we become past thinkers. We keep thinking about, oh my God, the relationship was like this and our friendship was like this. And if I had this job opportunity, then I would have been doing this in my life right now. And it's like, really, what is that thinking doing for you? Nothing. That thinking is actually making you feel worse about yourself in your life. And that thinking is getting you to focus on all the things that you're missing instead of thinking about all the incredible things that are going to come in your life as a result of this transition. And so, as much as possible, you want to kind of catch that past or backward thinking that shows up and shift that to forward thinking and what you have to look forward to. So, for example, with me starting this master's program, I'm just like, oh my God, starting this master's program, it's going to be amazing. I'm going to get my therapy license. And who knows, maybe I'll open up my own clinic or practice in a couple of years. Winter is going to come up soon. I'm going to learn snowboard, and that is actually something I really want to do. I will take you along the journey of snowboarding and me trying to learn it because it's been something on my mind for a while now. And I'm just like, me just going through this transition, and I want something to look forward to, something to do in the winter. I also generally just feel like if you want to truly enjoy winter, you have to do some sort of winter sport. I've done skiing in the past, I've done skating, I'll go tobogganing, go tubing with my friends, I'll still run in the winter, and you have to do these things or then winter just absolutely feels like it sucks. And so I'm really excited to snowboard. See, so look at all these like things. I'm already getting like excited just thinking about it, and I'm not stuck in the past. I'm not stuck in that past relationship or friendship or that business opportunity or whatever else it is. Instead, I'm forward thinking and thinking about all the incredible things that are going to come into my life now that I've let the dead weight go. And when you really think about it, right? Like think about, for example, a hot air balloon. How does a hot air balloon rise up higher and higher? It rises up higher and higher by letting go of sandbags. When you think about being in a hot air balloon, It's so beautiful to look at yourself getting higher and higher instead of focusing on what you left behind, right? We don't want to look at that. Nobody cares about the sandbag that you left behind. But that's essentially what you're doing. You're thinking constantly about the sandbag you left behind instead of looking forward, looking at how high up you're getting and how beautiful the view is from the top. And so that's the type of thinking that I want you to embody instead of thinking about the sandbags that you've let go of constantly and focusing on them and missing the beautiful view in front of you. I want you to take a step back and let that go and look ahead. Look ahead at the beauty to come. Look ahead at what you are rising into. And this is the power of forward thinking. The more that you focus on what you're gaining instead of what you're losing, the better that you're going to feel during this transition. And the last tip that I have for you that's really going to help you move through this transition period like a pro is I want you to take a step back and I want you to think about who is that new version of yourself that you're going to now step into because you don't have any of this dead weight holding yourself back. So whether you've lost that job, that relationship, whatever transition it is that you're going through, I want you to think about who is that new version of yourself that you are going to step into and what is that version of yourself that you are going to let this transition make in your life, not break. So I've taken some time right now in my life to actually take a step back and look at what are my values. I've taken a step back to look at what is that version of me that I really want to embody and step into in this next stage of life. Because when we go through this period of massive change and transitions and letting go of things, we don't realize, but some of these things actually start to form our identity and how we see ourselves to be. And once those things let go, a part of what makes going through transitions be really difficult is that question of identity, that question of who are we now that we don't have these things. And the truth is that you can literally be anything. You can be any version of yourself that you choose and desire to be. And so, what's really important though is you take a step back and be intentional about this and intentionally take that time to reflect. So, what I'll actually do with some of my patients is I'll actually give them these identity reflection exercises, I'll give them values exercises, I'll give them a vivid vision questionnaire where they actually go through and list out what is that vision that they have for their life that they want to work towards. And again, the power of this, going back to that last step that I shared, is that this helps you become more forward thinking instead of focusing on the past. Because when you think about this version of yourself you want to step into, when you recreate your values, that vision that you have for yourself, now that you don't have those things holding you back, you get that purpose, that power back in your life. And then again, it helps you to really focus on all the things you need to do essentially moving forward. So these are the steps that are really going to help you handle transitions like a pro in your life. These are the steps that I've been using in my life for the past few weeks, and I've noticed such a big shift in just how I'm feeling and showing up and really moving through my own transitions in a powerful way. So I hope that these really help you. And if you want that one-on-one support to really help you move through this in a powerful way, I would encourage you to use the link in the bio of this video to apply to work with me. People are only selected to work with me on an application basis. So you can go in there, fill out a time slot for us to potentially book a meeting. And then if you are selected, you'll get that confirmation email. The last thing that I really just want to end off with is, most importantly, please give yourself lots of compassion and grace as you navigate this. There is no right or wrong way to go through this. The most important thing is that you are nice and kind to yourself, because that just helps make the process be so much easier.